Hello and welcome to the Whitehead Files, an interesting Whitehead Files. Today we are having we're talking about a subject called Betwixt and Between. I can see you going, oh, what on earth is that? Well, I've got a guest who will explain a little bit more about that. But together we came up with the term Betwixt and Between, but there is another official phrase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our guest and see if she's in our green room. Put those blue M&Ms down. Anna Price, are you there?
Hi, Caroline. I'm here. It's lovely to be joining you today.
Here she is, Anna Price. Well, it's lovely to have you. It's fantastic to have you. Yes, so we said betwixt and between, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah. But before that, I just want to say that Anna Price is an entrepreneur. She is my colleague. We're both on the Chartered Management Institute Women's Board, aren't we?
We are indeed. Yes, that's how we met. I
Yes.
think.
And now we're kind of inseparable, which is lovely. It is
It
lovely
is.
to have a
It
sister in
is.
arms. And also, she knows lots of things rural, but we'll probably do another show about that. Yes.
We will probably because we've talked a bit about rural urban divide, haven't we? You being up there in the city and me being down here in the countryside in the Midlands.
Yeah, I feel a bit of a fraud actually because I'm in the burbs, but I do go into the city a lot. So anyway, our subject today is betwixt and between. Oh, what are we talking about? What do we mean by that?
Yeah, what do we mean? I think you and I, with our conversations that we have quite regularly, and I think we were talking one day, weren't we, about the fact that, as women who work for ourselves, we are also parents, so mums, and also we have aging parents ourselves. So kind of stuck in the middle of caring for the older generation and the younger generation, because
Yeah.
both our kids have some extra needs as well, and then we've got parents that are getting older too, so it's just this juggling everything, and if we're struggling, there's an awful lot of people out there struggling as well. So I think that's
Definitely.
where it all came from originally, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And of course, there's always it's either an acronym or a particular phrase. But the actual phrase that's attributed to this situation is called the sandwich. What we call the sandwich generation.
Yeah, sandwich generation, or sandwich carers, they call us, I think. And I've got one or two stats here. It says 3% of the UK general population, which is equivalent to more than 1.3 million people, have twin responsibilities. So that's looking after kids whilst also looking after aging parents.
Yeah, the whole twin responsibilities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But of course, what I suppose we see is that the majority of caring responsibilities, as has been publicised over and over, certainly throughout COVID, through the lockdown and everything, the majority of caring responsibilities fall to women. So
yeah,
it disproportionately affects women as opposed to men. So this I suppose myth that we can have it all is
yeah.
presented to us, and it's not always true, and it puts a lot of pressure on people, I think, to think that they should be doing better, should be doing more all the time, whilst having multiple responsibilities for caring and everything else piled on us. So
Yeah,
it's
definitely. And
interesting.
and the thing is, of course, you touched on it a little bit. It does affect the mental health,
Yeah,
because I know that more than 33% of sandwich carers are providing at least 20 hours of adult care per
yeah,
week. So that will affect the mental health if they've got to work as well or hold down a job. And 23% are providing fewer than 5 hours each week. Somebody's doing something. They said that, I mean, we're not dissing men, but they'll do the gardening or a
yeah,
bit of driving. But there is a whole breadth of what
yeah.
women will do.
Yeah,
And
and
it's,
I think something that goes untalked about quite a lot is this and I've always called it emotional lifting. So a lot of the emotional lifting within a family falls to mums or the female in the household, I guess, if you like. If you're in a dual sex household, it's thinking about the shopping, thinking about what we're going to cook for dinner, thinking about, is the school bag packed? Have we got enough bread for sandwiches in the morning? You know, what are the clubs after school? It's that emotional lifting. It's the stuff that in the old days, I suppose, that men were at work and that's what they did. They went to work, they stayed at work, and the women were at home doing all that. And we've kind of along the way picked up everything and just kept taking it on. It's
and I'm going to go back to the men and say that it's not a blanket statement, you know, that men just do a bit of driving and a bit of gardening. I have a very good friend who has been a carer to his wife when she fell ill for over a decade now, almost a decade now. And even though now to support his mental health, he has now a carer. Excuse me, but he did quite a lot of the emotional heavy lifting, you know, and financially it affected him as well. So
I think with men as well, because you know, they've been brought up differently to us, but when they're thrust into the position where perhaps their partner does fall ill or the kids are ill and the partner's ill, you know, that's new to them then, to have to learn at that point, having been through the majority of your life being cared for, if you like, and being the breadwinner, if you like, in a traditional household, to be then thrust into this position of having to care. It is difficult. One of the stats that's just struck me here, it says half of sandwich generation people have under 35 minutes a day to themselves.
Shocking. That's shocking, isn't it?
It is. It's very shocking. But I think we do have to take some personal responsibility for that as well. So we don't just want to talk today, I think, about how, excuse my French, but how crap it is. You know, you have to advocate for yourself as well. We have to have these conversations so that people know that they're not alone, but also to be able to put things in place that means that you do get more than everybody can, I think, with support, manage a bit more than 35 minutes a day, I would hope, of time to themselves. So, you know, you have to work at these things, but it is possible.
Yeah, definitely. And there are 3.4 million 20 to 34-year-olds in the UK who are still living with their parents.
Wow.
An increase of 25% over the last 2 decades, according to the ONS, the Office of National Statistics.
That's big, isn't it?
Yeah, it is big. It is big. But then it's the, you know, cost of living and can't afford things
Can't
as well.
move out.
What I told you, you know, it's not a big secret to a lot of people that know me, but what I told you was that I became a child carer. My mum was a very proud, strong, she was petite, but very proud and strong national health nurse. And she got a condition whereby she'd lose her sight, and then she'd have to stay still for 4 to 6 weeks, and I'd have to do things. And then every time her sight came back, there was always a slight impairment until her sight did not come back. And to protect the unit that we had, I was a child carer. So my mum sold it to me to improve my maths. I had to do the catalogue. She had about 3 different catalogues on the go, and I had to sort of do the checking up of the catalogue and basically writing the little books, you know, for friends who've bought things from the catalogue. So I did that, sent that out. That was to help with my maths, and then to do other things, you know, like sort of reading forms, and because of course what she had to do was slide across to benefits and do the forms, and it was, you know. And I just saw that as normal. I saw that as normal, sort of in my, you know, going from 13, 14, 15, and I didn't do as much as other young people. But then I find myself now in a similar situation, but now sandwiched.
Yeah. I think you know,
So I had a bit of respite for a couple of decades.
and then it's back to it again now.
Back to it again.
And I think, you know, you've got families where more and more there is less and less help available for caring responsibilities. So perhaps in the old days you would have had a broader circle that would have helped with, you know, your communities. So this goes back to rural, really. So in rural villages, your whole village would have chipped in when, you know, when somebody's partner was ill or what have you. And I'm sure that some of the city communities are pretty much the same. But there's been, people are less inclined to open the door and to help their neighbours, have been. I hope we're seeing sort of a return to that sort of community support as well. But certainly everything's paid for now. So if you want extra help with caring, you have to have the financial means to do it. And not everybody has the financial means to do it. So we're taking it on. Yeah, we're just doing it. So whether it's
I'm going to say the B word. I'm going to say the B word. Right, and that B word is Brexit.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw that in because, of course, a lot of carers came from overseas.
Yeah.
Great carers, fantastic, you know, because of their, because a lot of them were to do with their culture, you know. That's something that they did, and they supported our care industry in that way. And of course, there is a shortage, a huge shortage of carers,
and it's unfortunate as well that we're going to see, you know, this coming up again as an issue, isn't it? Because we're coming up to a general election, so you're going to see a lot more about division and people coming over and taking our jobs and things like that. And it's rubbish, because we have felt it as carers, as certainly as a parent of kids with extra needs. I have a community of special needs mums, if you like. My daughter's not particularly disabled; she's just got Down syndrome. But you know, parents with kids who are very disabled, or parents who are very disabled, just don't get the support that they used to from their community NHS programs, with regards to respite or anything. So it's important to talk about these things, and it's important to share resources when you do find something that works for you, or you know, you find a great care team or a community event that you can tap into. It just gives you a bit of respite away from that. It's really important that you share those things.
And I would say to anybody to try and find some of these networks and try and increase that. You know, sometimes it's not possible, that 35 minutes a day for yourself. It's got to be more than that, you know, for your own mental health, really, because that's to me that's a shocking statistic.
It's a shocking statistic. I mean, people who are actually in work, and I think that employers have to take some responsibility for this as well.
Definitely.
There's no way that, you know, you should just be having 35 minutes, because a lunch break at work should, I imagine, be more than 35 minutes. So many people work through their lunch and things like that because they're under pressure. But I think employers, organizations should be ensuring that they know a bit about their people as well, about their staff and the responsibilities that they have at home, and making sure that they are, you know, taking time for themselves, even if it is just that half an hour at lunchtime, to go for a walk outside or to go and sit in a local coffee shop and take a breath. Really important.
Yeah, because I think you know, bosses and middle managers should be more empathetic.
Yeah, 100%.
Because sometimes the bosses will be, but then the middle managers do not execute that vision and that empathy.
Yeah, it can happen. Leadership happens from the top, doesn't it? So how you are as a leader definitely filters down, and taking that bit of extra time to understand the teams in which you're working, and encouraging others to do that as well, I think is very important. Knowing a bit about each of the circumstances or challenges that people are facing at home, and people shouldn't be afraid to share those. And I think Sometimes people are, for fear of being judged at work or being seen as being less than, or, you know, being a carer can be incredibly isolating, isolating. We know that. I think most people have a sense of what that must feel like to not have more than 35 minutes of time for yourself a day.
I know. And you know, I know you value some downtime as well, because you won't mind me saying that you know, as an adult, you've been diagnosed with ADHD.
I have.
So of course, things are going, aha. So that's why that thing was like that, or I felt like that. But then again, you need to put things in place for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are quite different in that sense. So I quite often, I'll be like, Caroline, you're still working at, you know, 6:30 at night. I am, and at weekends, I'm really, really very protective of my evenings and my weekends, because I know from looking after myself and others' perspective, what do they say? You can't drink from an or empty cup.
You cannot drink from empty cup, and that's how you fill yourself up.
Yeah, and I need to. So 6:30 at night is my cutoff. You know, unless I'm at an event where I know and I've been able to plan that I'm out late. 6:30 at night is no more work. I work from 6:30 in the morning, but I also have a period of time in the mornings where I say I don't work, because that's school drop off.
Yeah.
You know, so I just don't put that pressure on myself. It's non-negotiable. And I can do that because I work for myself. Many people can't do that. But we should be able to request flexible working. I think there's some law passing, isn't there, around flexible working, that everybody should be offered it. So we shall see how that progresses. But it shouldn't be a barrier to asking. You shouldn't be afraid to ask at work. But I know that's not always the reality.
Yeah, no, it's not always the reality. So this wasn't a deep dive into Betwixt and Between and the sandwich generation, but it was a light touch, a soupçon of a conversation, just to sort of get that out there. But you know what? We can take this further. We can take it offline, or we can take it back online again and get more people involved to have that conversation. What's your nugget of wisdom to anybody who finds themselves in Betwixt and Between?
I think it's taking personal responsibility to ensure that you have some time for yourself, however you do that. Reach out, get some help, speak to people about it, and take some responsibility.
Very, very well said. Anna Price, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Music started. There's going to be a bit of an umbrella and an arrow pulling me off in a minute. Thank you very much. We'll speak soon. Thank you, everybody, for watching the Whitehead Files and the Betwixt and Between. Lots of food for thought there. Please, if you've not caught up with any of the Whitehead Files, go to the Zebra Partnership channel on YouTube. There are Whitehead Files there. Coming up next on the Whitehead Files is the Windrush Conversations. It's 2023 is Windrush 75, so I'll be having some key conversations with individuals. So watch out on your socials, and we shall see you soon. Take care.